can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Ooh, it's launch date time. Hey, Teri Pugh.
Hello, Devon O'Day. How are you today?
Better now that I've seen your face. Better now that I've seen your face. You always make me feel good. Always give me that gentle thing, and I'm glad to have you. Corinne is just joining us. Hey, Corinne.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm on the mend. I'm gonna actually go this afternoon and see if I can do a little book reading. I'm in the middle of a really, really delicious audio book over at Spotland Productions, and thank you to Harper Collins for again calling on me. Elizabeth is here. Hello. Candy is here. Good to have you, Candy. And Steve Burney's here. Hey, Steve.
Hello, everybody.
Got everybody coming in. Thank you. You're sounding better today, Devon. Thank you. It's my first day. I feel kind of a little bit more like me. And as y'all know, I had to miss some stuff this weekend. I had to practice what I've been preaching. You know, sometimes you got to get well. And I had to say no to the Renaissance Fair and to Jessica Fisher's concert and some of my Ireland folks peeps who went out, and I couldn't go. But that's okay. But I'm getting better.
That's okay. So and you'll be able to do stuff now. So
it's all good. Well, can I open the big Pandora's box today?
Yeah, what are we talking about today? I love it. It's always like a Cracker Jack thing with us. It's like, okay, what are we doing today?
Okay. I know that something is going on in the universe because there are so many people going through what I call a season of when down is up and up is down. When bad people who have hurt us find success, when things just don't make sense in the world and good people seem to not be winning and bad people seem to be getting ahead. All kind of those things and I always use the thing, when you plant expectation seeds in the wrong garden, you grow resentment. And when you, and maybe you, as someone who is listening, and someone who's part of our viewer audience, maybe you've planted your seeds, your expectation seeds in the wrong garden, and it didn't work out. It did not work out. And maybe it worked out very poorly. And you grew some really serious resentment plants. And those plants can be like kudzu. I want to find out how to pull those plants out and get rid of them. We don't want to grow resentment. We want to take and clean out our streets so that we don't have jealousy, resentment, and we don't spend our time waiting for karma to kick their ass. Okay, enough. I've thrown that out there.
That's a lot. Well, first, and I know a lot of people will not adhere to this, and that's okay. But the notion of good and bad people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to go, I don't agree with you. And I'm okay with that. I've learned in this season of life that there's some things you can have a hand in controlling and guiding, and then some things you just can't. And I don't necessarily think that there's a definition between good and bad people. I think that there's goodness in everyone, depending on who they're with and who they're around. And I think that there can be some not so goodness in everyone, depending on who they're with and who they're around. I'm not here to debate today, like serial killers versus Mother Teresa. That's not what we're talking about. But if I hear you clearly, Devon, what you're asking is, let's say you've got a professional setting and you're doing your work, you're pulling your load, you're doing everything. And then the person that sits around eating popcorn, watching Netflix gets the promotion. And you can feel a little jaded about that. You can get a little resentment about that, right? So is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Or if someone who does things in a not so honest way and they get ahead, if they screw people over and they get ahead and they do things like that over and over and over, when the people the lie, what is it, the song, lie, cheat, steal, and I can't even remember what it is, but when the cheaters out there win, when cheaters win, how do you deal with that if you're not the cheater and you've done the things and try to just keep your nose clean? And how do you not be jealous? How do you not develop this? Well, come on.
Well, I think doing an inventory of what's important to you, and also understanding that when these things happen in life, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, whether it's family, whether it's whatever, we're only looking at a snapshot of a lifetime. And that snapshot of the lifetime is the snapshot that you are privy first person to. I tell people all the time, it's a waste of energy to talk about, I'm so angry, I'm so mad. I hope, I've heard people say, I hope they die. I hope this, I hope that. And that breaks my heart, because I'm like, damn, don't we want good for ourselves? Don't we want success, happiness, love, fairness, equality? Don't we want all of this stuff for ourselves? And if we do, then you got to be real careful how sharp you sharpen your tongue to want ill for someone else, because you're not living in a balance of integrity. Now, you can have a pocket of when something happens and, say somebody's in the music business and they are, you've worked your whole life to, get on the Grand Ole Opry, and somebody that, doesn't work with a lot of integrity, they land the gig on the Grand Ole Opry, right? It's not a comparison. You have the right to have your feelings of disappointment, of being like, well, this sucks. And, but then you also have to shift gears and go into that place of, well, I want that or something better.
Yeah. Yeah. Elizabeth weighs in. I so get that. Sometimes it does seem as though the cheaters win. I also believe that they know they cheated, and they have to look at themselves in the mirror every day, and they know. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the people, Joyce says, that get stuff that way will have someone bigger than us to deal with someday.
But also we have to remember that someone else's successes is not about us.
It's not about us.
And if we're spinning our wheels being angry because they're successful, then we're wasting our energy.
Joyce says, my grandfather called it ill-gotten gains. You never succeed that way. That's always important. And Corinne adds, when I was working, the quickest way to get ahead promoted was to be part of the old boy network, whether or not you were competent. I looked at that and said, nope, not me. I will do my work the best I can for me. And ultimately, that's the thing that gives us our soul intact as we get through life. Not giving in to a way that makes us hurt, that makes us feel bad about ourselves. Because I maintain that when we wish ill on someone else, it ultimately comes back on us. That old adage, you wish ill on someone else, you drink the poison hoping they die. It does poison us from the inside, because I always say resentment seeds can kill us. That kudzu chokes us out, and it becomes our focus, and every hour, we have so many hours in a day. We have so many minutes, so many heartbeats every day. And every heartbeat and every minute that we spend wishing something on someone else is something we don't wish for ourselves. That is time we cannot spend working for our higher good. We only have so much space up here.
Right.
Our real estate here it's finite. It really is finite. And so that's the thing that I find in my life. If I focus on the energy of trying to get even, wish even, or any of that other stuff, that's energy I cannot spend writing a new book or doing a new thing or enjoying an afternoon of birds singing.
Right.
Something simple.
I mean, I think that it's valid to, as human beings, we have our emotions, right? And so things will happen, and it might be, well, this is not fair, or this, this is, I don't like this, or whatever. But there's also accountability in that. People will say all the time, well, if you're accountable and you keep your side of the street clean, then you won't have to worry about anything. Well, we're human beings. Human beings worry by nature. Human beings are envious by nature. Human beings are jealous on some levels by nature.
Right.
But you're not buying real estate in that neighborhood. You're not pulling your little car through the resentment drive and then just stopping and going, I'm going to live here forever. Some people do. Goodness. Some people pull that resentment. Some people pull their wounding. Some people pull their whatever through those neighborhoods, and they park the car and they live there. And they live from a perspective of, I'm doing the best I can. And maybe they are, but they're living from a lens of resentment, or they're living from a lens of fear, or they're living from a lens of woundedness. And they're not living. They're percolating, but they don't fully brew into what life is, right?
Oh, I love that, percolating, but don't fully brew. That's a Teriism to write down. I want to fully brew. I want to fully brew the goodness that I was created for. I want to fully brew. Elizabeth says, I learned through a particular program to look at my role and my resentments. That's what today's show's about, Elizabeth. Cleaning our part of the street. For me, my strongest resentments were also where I found so much of my identity. Oh, so good. The wisdom right there. I had to figure out why that was before I could change it. Oh, that's really good.
Well, yeah, because, and Elizabeth, you maybe can speak to this, but when you live from a place of resentment, you're never wrong. Like, we're never wrong when we live in resentment.
Right.
Because we have always been done wrong. And we can't, well, we can. People live there all the time. But we miss out on so many opportunities that life has.
Oh. Corinne said, I screamed at times when I saw someone connected get my promotion, but I learned not my time, not my monkey or circus. I actually bought that sign for my house. Not my circus, not my monkey, not my circus. Yeah. And Elizabeth, thank you for putting this in the notes, percolating, but not fully brewed. I love that. I love that. Teri comes out with those wisdoms, those Teriisms.
Hey, they drop in on me. I'd like to take credit for them, but it's the big kahuna or whatever is up there that's just like, here we go, coming down, and it just falls in. So if it falls in, it usually falls right out of my mouth, and that's a good thing.
And you guys are our stenographers. You guys keep it posted for us. I was never wrong, says Elizabeth. It was always what someone had done to me. I resemble that. I may not have had a role in the original action, but dang, I sure got a lot of sympathy and pats on the back for being a victim. Living in a victim mindset.
And we all do it. We all do it. As human beings, every one of us lives in that mindset from time to time. Every one of us. But it's about being accountable and saying, this is what, this is my role in it. And you might not see it from another person's perspective because you don't have their life experiences. You don't have their trauma. You don't have their neglect. You don't have their successes. You don't have their adoration. You don't have their wounds. You don't have it. So the best we're doing is we're all looking through these little, what are those things little pirates use? The little thingies.
Spyglass.
So we're all looking through our little spyglasses at someone else's experience and trying to understand how we fit into that. But then also all the glasses have different lenses, and some are cracked and some are shiny and some are dirty, and some are whatever, bigger than other ones. And so we don't sometimes see their whole picture, because our experience in life has not been the same as theirs. And that's where we have to put our big girl panties and our big boy underoos on. And we have to be willing to go, okay, let me hear what you're saying. And let's do this respectfully. And if you work with someone who gets that promotion, or you work with someone who, gets that record deal, or whatever, you may have a sibling that does something, and you've worked so hard your whole life to do something, and your sibling comes right along behind you and just goes, I got it, and you'll have that moment of, well, dang. And you can have it. You can have that moment of, oh, this stinks. But then you have to go, okay, let me get back to my garden. Let me get back to these seeds, like you said earlier, of expectation that I've planted, and more than expecting from someone else, expect from ourselves.
Amen. That, and I, because it's this time of year, and I think a lot about gardening and planting and that kind of thing. I want to encourage you all to write down what your expectations are for you, because you cannot have expectations in someone else that will ever be fully realized the way you want them to be realized, because we can't control someone else. But we can control our expectations of ourselves. We can expect ourselves to be fair. We can expect ourselves to be hardworking. We can expect ourselves to eat right. We can put those expectations on us, and it gives us goals. It gives us something to work toward. And if we focus on the expectations for ourselves, pretty soon there's no time, there's no focus, there's no dilution of what is going on in your life, because you've spent so much time focused on somebody else's life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's also, if we're talking about, like, we've kind of thrown out there about promotions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone is going up against someone else for a promotion and they don't get that promotion. Then, you have to trust that it wasn't yours to have. It wasn't yours to have. Sometimes people get a little twisted because they're not even up for a promotion, but somebody gets a promotion.
Uh-huh.
And now they're all kinds of sideways. I can't believe they got that promotion. I remember. And I'm just like, why are you wasting that energy on that?
Uh-huh.
Why are you wasting your energy on it? The best that we can do is look at where we find our shortcomings. And instead of making our shortcomings about someone else, realize that they're our shortcomings. And realize how we can look inward and look at that and be honest and transparent about what it is that your desires are, and what it is that your hopes or your dreams are, or your promotions, or your records, or your books, or your whatever. Be real about that. And then you're not going to spend a whole lot of time worrying why it's not happening, because if you're worrying about why it's not happening, then that's a whole lot of energy that you could be spending on creating ways for it to happen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Elizabeth says, fear is typically at the root of my resentments. Fear of not being enough, or measuring up to someone else, or their expectations. Really, really good point.
I think fear is at the root of a lot of resentments, a lot of for both sides of the coin. I think it's at the root of a lot, and that not being good enough, or we can surround ourselves with people who will tell us how great we are, but if we really have to depend on everybody around us to tell us how great we are, then we must not have a solid understanding of our own gifts and it's not about being great. It's about being true.
Mm-hmm. About being true. Corinne says, I used to have a low garden bed. Can't bend down that far anymore, and it got overgrown with weeds. had it removed and now seeded for more lawn. Changing expectations of me. Whew, that is a lot of brilliance right there, Corinne. That's some good old brilliance. Sometimes we need to raise our bed. Sometimes we need to raise
sometimes you just get rid of the bed.
Sometimes you get rid of it altogether.
Sometimes you just change the landscape. And maybe that's landscape, maybe it's a home that you have, and maybe it's painting the walls and changing the flooring out. Maybe you're changing that. Maybe it's changing the city that you live in. Maybe it's changing, as the metaphor here, you don't want to do the gardening in the low bed anymore because of the weeds, or not that you don't want to do it, but that season ended. So then take that down and make a beautiful lawn out of it. You can have just as much enjoyment from that. It's about looking at the opportunity for rearranging things in your life and seeing it through.
I don't know if anybody of you, I was not very long ago in a job that I thought was my job for the rest of my life. And I loved it. And it was my favorite job. And then through no fault of my own, I got called in for the first time in my entire career. And they said, we're going in another direction. Whew, boy, did I hold some resentment for a while. That was a tough thing. It was a tough thing. I'd never had that conversation. I'd never had the experience, never been let go, never been fired, never been any of that thing. And I'm seeing a lot of that happen to a lot of people that I love. And the other day I was kind of walking around and I was thinking about my life now and the things I get to do and the freedom that I get to have and what's happening in my life. And sometimes I just I get overwhelmed. I get giggly because some of the things happening now I couldn't have if I was doing the other thing. And I never would have left on my own, but throw me in that briar patch because I found out that there is something else. There is something else that we can do. I never would have gotten to go on the last trip I went to Ireland. There's so many things in the last few years I would not have been able to experience in that place. So instead of resentment, I try to take up the resentment seeds, and there's a special little wand called gratitude. When you fertilize resentment with gratitude, it doesn't make the resentment grow. It turns it into something beautiful. So learning how to take it and go, wow, I am so happy for this freedom. Wow, I get to do this now. Wow, I get to experience this now. Hey, I get to write a new chapter. Everybody that is watching today, you can write a new chapter. If you're in a job that you hate, if you're in a living situation that you hate is a very strong word, but I am not afraid to say it because there are people that I talk to every day that hate what they do and where they live and who they spend it with. Change it. You're not a tree. Move. I think that came from Teri in one of my conversations with you.
You're not a tree. Move. And you know what? Here's the thing. Change can come in so many ways. We can change the situation we're in. We can change how we look at it. We can change ourselves in the situation. If you have a job that you love, but you're not happy in it, do the work. Find out ways to stay in the job that you love and be happy. And if you truly don't want to be in the job, then have the courage to leave the job.
Open a smoothie king. It's right. Like that story that I use all the time. The guy who left his legal job and started working in a smoothie, or he's a CEO or something. Anyway, he opened a Smoothie King and loved it and made smoothies every day because everybody was happy that he dealt with. I started a pet sitting business and I loved it. So you can find something that you love, even if you need something to just reboot with.
Right.
Sometimes you don't need to find, some people want to move to Panama and sell straw hats. I mean, whatever it is. Elizabeth says, yes, sometimes fear of the unknown keeps us in resentments, but I found that oftentimes something better is waiting for me once I let go of whatever it was. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
Well, I think Elizabeth said it, best when, to her point of resentment, our identity can be wrapped up so much in resentment, in fear, in caregiving, in workaholics. And I mean, we can wrap our identity up in all kinds of ways and make it look pretty as it can be, pretty as it can be. But, you know, we are more than the job we do. We're more than the company we keep. We're more than the home we live in. We're more than the family that we have. We're more than partners and spouses. We're more than being fur babies moms. We're multifaceted as human beings. And so unless we live a pretty vanilla life, you're going to bump up against those fears and those resentments from time to time. And you're going to have to look at them and say, what is this? It's not about what it says about what I think this other person should get or should not get. What does it say about me thinking that this person should or should not have this other thing?
Corinne is definitely resonating with that. Yeah, I love that. And Kim Todd Henderson, well said, Elizabeth. And Candy Seaton said, that's what I do, Devon. I love the pet sitting, house sitting jobs I have. You can find things in this world to reboot with. You can but the rebooting always starts with us. Like Teri says, it always starts with us. How we frame it, how we look at it.
Well, because we're the one that started the problem.
Okay, come again.
We're the one that started the problem inside our head. And what I mean by this is, you might take a job or, you know, have a friend or whatever that something doesn't feel, you're just not like, you know, you love the job when you first got it. Now you're just not happy in the job because there's other people that work there and you feel some kind of way about them. Rather than cleaning your side of the street, we feed those resentments and we feed those fears and we feed those things. And then what happens is we implode. And then we want to, instead of looking inward and going, what was my role in this? We want to look outward and go, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, you, it's all your fault, all your fault. You hurt me, you've done this. And it's like, we have to be very real and very transparent. You know, this is something that in all of our lives we face, and this is a particular season for many of us, myself included, where we have to look in the mirror and go, okay, not my finest moment as a human. Let me be accountable for this. And, you know, and then look at that coworker or, you know, that whoever the person is in your life and go, you know, here it is, and lay it out. And then you are looking, and the hope is that there's accountability on that end coming back, right? Because that makes for a cohesive work environment. It makes for a cohesive family environment. You know, it makes for cohesiveness. But if it's not, then you're going to be running into a dead end wall, and you have to learn that, you know what, this isn't. It isn't.
It just isn't.
It isn't. And you know, you learn to shift and pivot from there.
Corinne says, I took your reboot advice, Teri. I now blast music to do chores I am not fond of, and they get done.
See,
sometimes on this little show, we love to give you things to launch yourself into a different way of looking at things. Candy says, I left all my resentments behind when I left the job I had for 12 years. And when they laid me off, I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I knew it was time for me to go. And I knew that leaving there was the best thing for me. Man, isn't that great? Elizabeth says, other people's success and whatever doesn't take away from our own. This is not a finite amount of success to go around. Success is unlimited and bound only by how we define it for ourselves. Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. You could work for the sanitation department picking up recycles, or you could be the CEO of a major corporation. And there's not one of those people that are more successful than the other. If they love what they do, they enjoy the people that they're around, they feel good about what they provide for their family, and they rest well at night knowing that they really are striving for happiness. There's no one person. is not more successful than the other because of
Yeah.
the number of followers, the number of friends, the number of dollars in the bank. Those things are what's the word I'm looking for?
Those things are not indicators of success.
Yeah.
They really aren't. Success is, and it depends on what you call success, but I define, joy, peace, contentment. Joy says, I agree, Elizabeth. I'm not a person who adapts to change well, but I took a better position last year because my department was being outsourced to India. I was scared, but I just built myself up before I started and it all went well and I make better money and I like my job better. See, there are oftentimes better things around the corner. And in already reply, that's awesome, Joyce. Better really can be around an unknown corner.
And
Well,
here's the thing. It's a lot of times, and I'm going to jump on this because I actually have some friends that live in India. And so what can feel like a slight on we were talking about this earlier, like the contrast in life, right? So what can feel like a slight on one end, a job is leaving, they're outsourcing to another country, and Joyce, I'm not saying this was your experience, but like if there are some people who would say our job's being outsourced to another country or another state, and so now poor pitiful me, I don't have whatever. Well, you had an opportunity, you saw the best in that, and you pivoted, and you have now income, a larger income. You have a job that you love. You have a job that lets you off on the weekend, so you can attend fantastic workshops, and and then someone in India who needed money to feed their family, they now have a job.
Wow. Isn't that brilliant?
And they get to feed their family.
Yeah. It's just, it really is. If we start expanding our horizons with gratitude and with openness, all of a sudden everything starts opening up and the blessings have a place to fall into. The monkey with his hand in the log trying to grab the banana out of the hole will never get the banana out. And if he doesn't expand his horizons, he doesn't see the banana trees around him that are filled and loaded with bananas. We have to let go of, and that really comes to the place where we start letting go of getting even, and we get even more by doing that. We get more peace, we get more joy, we get more things done per day because we're not wasting our headspace on negative things. Anything negative that's planted will grow. Anything negative will grow.
Negative or positive, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Just being in a place where you're gifting yourself the opportunity to see the full picture, to see the full potential, to see all the beauty that's around you, to see all of that, and to release the need to control or to resent or whatever. And that's not easy for all of us all the time, because
Right.
we have different life experiences. And sometimes people have lots of work under their belt in that, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes you can have lots of work and you can still screw up. And sometimes you can, not have any work and get it right. But it takes that accountability of going, I don't want to be, well, to your point, life is precious and it's short. So you reach a point where you look at your life and you go, okay, I'm in the season of my life now where I really do want to live and I want to enjoy the life around me. And so I'm going to quit walking down the driveway and looking for the rocks to step on. And instead I'm going to go, look, there's a whole beautiful yard full of plush, nice grass I can walk in. And that feels great. It's changing our perspectives. It's not looking for the things, not looking for the other shoes to fall, not looking for the people that we think are one-upping us or getting the promotions or, having the successes, because your success is coming. But you cannot receive your success if you're standing there going, I can't believe I don't have, because your arms and hands aren't open. Your heart's not open. Your mind's not open. Your hands aren't open. Your success will just pass you by while you're griping about somebody else having success. And then, You shared something one time,
Excuse me.
The gentleman that was, I think it was something along an analogy or about a man that fell off a boat and he was drowning and or out in the ocean and was drowning, and the boat came by and threw him a life preserver, and he was like, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then the helicopter came over and dropped the line and said, here, get on the thing, and no, I'm waiting. And then went through a series of things where people were trying to help him and trying to get him to shift his perspective, and then finally he drowns, ends up at the pearly gates. And why didn't you save me? And God said, look, I sent this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. You turned them all away. That's not on God. That's on you. That's the same way we live with our gardens. We can plant whatever we plant, but here's the thing. If you're going to plant cucumbers or green beans or squash or whatever, watermelons or whatever those are that just go crazy and they're viney and they're everywhere, you've got to be responsible for going out and adjusting and picking and thinning and weeding and pruning. We can't just throw the seeds of our dreams out and just expect them to come to fruition, and be beautiful. We've got
That's right.
Our part in order to create that beauty.
That's right. That's right. My friend Tia McGrath, go check this. There's a song called Two Wolves. You can find her any platform. It's two wolves, and basically it's the Native American things. You have two wolves living within you. One is bad and one is good. Which one wins the fight? And it's the one that you feed.
Yeah.
It's like, little boy, what grows in your garden? Well, it depends on what you plant.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever you plant grows.
I love that Two Wolves poem, because it talks about the Cherokee grandfather, and the grandson says, asks him about about people, and the grandfather says there's two wolves that reside inside of us. One is envy, anger, jealousy, resentment, greed. The other one is joy, peace, happiness, contentment, and they're battling inside you all the time. And the little boy says, well, which one wins? And the grandfather looks at him and says, the one you feed. I love that. I actually have that at my office, and I love it. And and if we're being honest, sometimes we can catch ourselves in a pity party place, and we're feeding the one that we don't really want to win. So we have to be willing to go, you know what? I need to change that.
Corinne says, for a while I had pity parties over concerts I couldn't attend. Now I find other ways to support the music I love, anonymously allowing someone else to go, and that makes me happy. I love that. Nice. Sorry, Devon. Sure hope you feel better soon. Bless your heart. Well, I've gone long enough without coughing, and it just happens. Anyway, you guys, that's the end of a broadcast day for us. Y'all are so great. Without you guys in our little meeting every week at the noon hour on Wednesday, our launch date would not be the same. It'd be fun because it'd be me and Teri just talking about stuff that we need to talk about. But, we can do that on the phone. This way, we get to have all you guys, and you guys bring such wisdom. Thank you. Mona joined us too, my ride or die. And thank you. If you need to drop me a line, devonodey@gmail.com. And Teri Pugh, you can take it home, my sister.
I can be found at terrypugh.com. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you choosing to share your time, your energy, and your wisdom with us. This little space that we have is just so beautiful. And until we see you next Wednesday, which next Wednesday that's after is this weekend Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where does time go? So until we see you next Wednesday, create that space to do that self-reflection and see what are you resenting? What are you growing? Where are the weeds? What changes can you make? And also make very intentional moments to increase the peace in your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Good. Bye, everybody. Have a blessed week.